Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about my Porsche Cayman S, my rebuilt Porsche Cayman S, and whether I believe it was worth spending over £10,000 putting it right. So without any further waffle, let's get straight into the video. Those of you who are regular viewers of this channel will know that this car was suffering with bore scoring, had bore scoring on 2 of the cylinders and required a full engine rebuild. I got the work completed only a few months ago and the total cost was absolutely astronomical. If you've seen the previous video, the bill was over £10,000. I'm going to tell you whether I think it was worth rebuilding or if I should have just got rid of the car and found something else. So we're just going to go for a little drive and I'm going to talk about whether I've wasted my money or not. We'll see. So anyway, my Porsche Cayman S. If you're not already a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know I've had the car for just over a year, during which time it had an engine failure basically, and wasn't great news, and I had to have the whole car rebuilt. The car started out perfectly fine, it was driving wonderfully and I enjoyed all summer with it. As we got towards winter, I started realising things were not right. Once I took it into the garage and they did the scope, realised that it really was a bad situation, and I made the decision to rebuild the car. The bill was a lot more than I expected, and a lot of people have been asking in the comments, do you regret it? Do I regret rebuilding the car instead of just selling it on and getting something totally new? There's part of me that does regret it. Part of me feels like I should have just got rid of the car. And then there's another side to me that feels that I did the right thing and I'm glad I kept it, because there's so much good about having it rebuilt and there's so many things that I love about the car. It sort of made sense to get it rebuilt. But it's not without its faults and it's not without some regret. So first of all, the main advantage with having your Porsche rebuilt, and for me it was one of the main selling points, was the fact that bore scoring probably won't happen again. It's not guaranteed to never rear its ugly head again, but I've been told that all the cars they've rebuilt, they've never had one back. Never had one with rescoring, so that's good. So it kind of future-proofs your car. I now drive around in the car and feel that it's probably going to be okay. And if I keep it another 3 or 4 years, I'm probably not going to find any more problems to do with bore scoring. Porsches tend to be quite reliable, so other than the normal maintenance costs and the usual big bills you expect with one of these, I shouldn't get a bill like that again, especially for the engine. So that for me was a massive selling point. It was just future-proofing the car so I could enjoy it. The second thing was, I love the car. There's not a lot out there like it, and really, when you add the price I paid for the car plus the engine rebuild on top, it cost me around £24,000, which in today's market, it's not that much more than what they're selling for. You certainly wouldn't get a Generation 2, which people keep telling me I would. You can't, unless you're going for a really, really high mileage car or quite a low spec car. I've not seen any Generation 2 for sort of mid-20s. It's not at the moment. The prices have gone absolutely crazy, so you can't really do that. And a lot of people have said you'd be able to get a 981, but again, there's just nothing out there for that kind of money. Not when you consider the spec. This car is actually quite highly spec'd, and it took me a while to find one like this. And once you find a car you love, you just want to keep it. So it made sense to me to get it redone, because when you add, like I said, when you add the whole cost of it together, for a car as good as this, it's pretty good value. The negative points for me, and the bit that I kind of regret, is the fact that I have ultimately spent £10,000 on a car that only cost me 14 grand. Even with man maths, that doesn't add up. It's not a great investment. Cars devalue, and the Porsche Cayman, although it seems to be holding at the moment, and if anything going up, there's no guarantee it's going to keep going up. There's no guarantee I'll ever get my money back. So from a financial point of view, it's not a very good idea. The other thing really that I do regret is the fact that you spend all that money on it. If any other car went into the garage and you spent 10 grand on it, especially when it came to engine work, you'd probably have a car that came out with more power, sounded better, a bigger capacity or something like that. But because I went for just a rebuild and I didn't go for a bigger capacity because it would have added a serious amount of money to that bill, it would have been more than I paid for the car by a long way. I just went for the standard 3.4 rebuild. It meant that the car came back and I got back in it and people said to me, oh, how's it been since it came back? And I've been like, it drives pretty much the same as it did when I picked it up. It's really good. It's literally no different. There's absolutely no difference. Now it's been rebuilt. Absolutely not. It just feels like the day I picked it up, which is a good thing, but at the same time, you don't feel like you get much value for money when your car feels the same as it did when it was broken. So it went into the garage, got fixed, came back, feels the same as it did before it went in. The only difference that I've noticed is just the oil consumption. It's really satisfying going to the car, you start it up on a morning, does its oil check, and the oil level does not move. It doesn't drop a bar. I've done over 2,000 miles on it now and it's not dropped a bar. And before the oil level, it was going down so fast, it almost looked like a false reading. So there's a lot to be said about that. I like the fact that on a morning when I start it up, I get no blue smoke. A lot of people say that blue smoke pouring out of Porsches is perfectly normal. I tend to disagree with that, because if you go around telling people a bit of blue smoke is normal, at what point is it not normal? Because mine used to kick blue smoke out. It used to kick blue smoke out for a while after it was started. Never did it when it was warm, but if it was on a slope it would kick more out. Now it just doesn't kick any out. So it must be to do with the rebuild. It must be. The ball scoring must have been setting in, and I do feel like there's a lot of Porsches out there where people are told, don't worry about your blue smoke, it's pretty normal. And I think those cars ultimately will end up with ball score. So overall, I do feel like the car getting rebuilt was worth it. It was worth it. Whether it was worth the £10,000 I put into it, I'm not entirely convinced. But for me, I am glad I got it done, because I absolutely adore this car. I have so much fun driving it. I've got such a lot of plans to do with the car, and people on the channel love it. And it was like a driving force behind it, because everyone that watches this channel, they watch it for the car. They don't watch it for me, because, well, that would be ridiculous. You don't watch it for me. I'd probably just witter on and probably annoy people, but you watch it because you want to see this Porsche Cayman. You want to see the ownership experience, some of the good points and the bad points, and that was a bad point, but it gave me content, and I love the car, so I had to get it rebuilt. There was no other choice. So if someone out there is in the same situation as me, and you're wondering whether it'd be worth getting your Porsche Cayman fixed, I would say yes. Of course it'll be worth getting it fixed, because your only other options, which I faced at the time, was sell it for scrap, because once it's got no engine that works properly, it's not really worth any money. And two, maybe try and pass it off to someone, which I did toy with the idea of. I did toy with the idea of passing it off to We Buy Any Car or something like that. So not an individual, but some company. But the price they're offering was really low, and it's morally wrong to do that. So the only option you're left with is selling it as a broken car or getting it fixed. So you haven't got great options anyway. All I would suggest that anyone does is, when you've got one of these, when you're looking at buying one, you do your research, you get the car scoped. There's no other option. You need to get a camera, and a very good camera, down into the bores by a specialist to find out whether there's any signs of bore scoring, because there is no way on earth this car developed bore scoring in 1 year. It had bore scoring when I bought it, but without checking it with cameras, there's absolutely no way of finding out. The car had no other symptoms. So rather than worry about whether you should buy one of these and maybe factor in the price of rebuild down the line, what you should be doing is doing your research in the first place to ensure that it doesn't happen. That's where I went wrong, and I think that's what makes this channel quite interesting, because I'm happy to admit that I didn't do my research. I bought this, it's a love affair. I bought this car because I just wanted a Porsche. It was to fulfill a dream, like most people that buy these. So I wanted to give the most genuine ownership experience that I can do. And I feel like I'm managing it. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of my new subscribers. My subscriber numbers have jumped massively in the last few months, and I cannot believe I've built it up to nearly 1,500 now. It could even be over that now. My following amount is just... I don't even know what to say other than thank you so much. Thank you to all my really early subscribers that I know watch and comment on all my videos, give me really good feedback about everything, and really help develop the channel. So thank you all so much for subscribing. It really does mean so much to me. This video was just for anyone wondering whether I do feel like I did the right thing or not, because I get asked a lot in the comments about whether it was worth it. And I can categorically say it was worth every single penny. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.